Sarah is asking, how do you know if a rabbi is Erev Rav or a real rabbi? The most important thing for a person to do in their life is to make sure they have a rabbi. But the way that they know that the rabbi that they chose is the right rabbi, the Gemara in Masechet Moed Katan, page 17b, says first and foremost they have to have good Middot. They have to have good Middot. They have to be caring. They have to be patient. They have to be clear. They have to want your best and not necessarily want from you all the time. That's number one. Number two, they have to be well-versed, meaning they don't necessarily need to know everything off the top of their head, but they have to have enough yirat shamayim that if they don't know the answer to something that you ask them, then they're going to tell you, I'll get back to you. I'll find out for you and I'll get back to you. They don't pretend to know everything. If they know it, they give you the answer, they give you the source. If you need the source, but they didn't give it to you, you ask them for it, they'll get you the source within a reasonable time frame. They give you information, they give you the answers, not just out of the top of their head where they're pretending like they know. They tell you, this is the answer, this is the place you will find the answer that I'm telling you. It's in such and such book. They tell you the name of the book. If they're well-versed enough, they can even tell you the page. And if they're a real genius, they'll even tell you the number of line and word. But the point is not, most rabbis are not going to know everything, but they'll know just enough for the basics. And the things that are more complicated or that require more research, they have to have enough self-confidence and also yirat shamayim, more than anything else, yirat shamayim, fear of Hashem, that they're not going to pretend like they know the answer and just throw an answer to you. They're going to tell you, listen, I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you, I have to double check, and they get back to you and they give you the answer. So if your rabbi is willing to do that, where they're able to give you the answer, they know where to find the answer, they know how to tell you that they don't know the answer and that they'll find the answer for you, you're already in the right direction. But if you have a rabbi that is only good at giving you stories and giving you all types of speeches, but is not interested in your questions, is not interested in helping you with questions, pretty much he's only interested in your money, he's interested in you listening to everything he says without any questions or doubts. That's not usually a good rabbi, but it's not necessarily Erev Rav. The Erev Rav are people that are going to make up answers, meaning they're simply going to give you a philosophical speech about every question that you give them. They always have an answer for everything, and generally speaking, they never mention a real source. They'll state general stuff, like they'll say, well, the Rebbe said such and such. What do you mean the Rebbe said? The Rebbe said a lot of things. Where did the Rebbe say? Or he said it in one of his sichot. That's the same thing as saying the Rebbe said. What do you mean in his sichot? Where in his sichot? Oh, in the Tafshin Ayin Gimel. What do you mean? You know how many sichot he did in that year? What are you talking? Where? Which book? What page number? Where can I get this? Where can I find what you're saying in a book? And even more so, how come all of the answers are from one single source? Why don't you mention the foundation of Judaism? Why don't you mention the Shulchan Aruch? Why don't you mention the Gemara? Why don't you mention the Rambam? Why don't you mention everything else? Why is everything only one source? So when somebody says to you, the Rebbe said this, the Rebbe said that, that's not a good sign. Not because the Rebbe was lacking chas v'shalom, but rather because the rabbi that's telling you the information is lacking. Because they don't really know the answer. They're just pretty much, they know you don't know. And therefore they're depending on the fact that if they just simply say the Rebbe said it, or another way they say, in Chassidut we learn such and such. Where in Chassidut? Where? Which book? The Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Natan, Rabbi Nachman, the Rabbi Elimelech Milizhinsk, Rabbi Zusha. Who said it? Where did they say it? Oh, it's in Chassidut. Where? Oh, the Tanya. Where in Tanya? I have the book Tanya. Show me which page. Show me which ma'amar. And in reality, they don't know. They're just throwing names at you to sound educated. This is like in the business world, this is like name droppers. People that pretend to be successful or they simply are yearning to get honor from people, they pretend like they know a lot of people. So they drop names. Oh yeah, such and such businessman and such banker and such I don't know, Wall Streeter and such lawyer, and they throw all types of names. And then if they really want to seem educated, they start throwing names of authors. All types of authors. Oh yeah, I read that book over there by such and that book by such, and that one. And then they start throwing, oh yeah, Sun Tzu. You've seen Sun Tzu, right? Yeah, sure, The Art of War. Like, it's all nonsense. These are name droppers. These are fakers. If you're speaking to somebody that's a Talmid Chacham, every Talmid Chacham I've ever met is always going to quote the foundations. Before they quote any particular rabbi, they're going to quote the foundation. They're going to quote the Gemara. They're going to quote the Shulchan Aruch. They're going to quote the Rambam. Sure, they're great rabbis, but they're well versed in a lot of different things. And that's one of the things that many people don't realize. They don't realize that when somebody is teaching Torah, they're obligated to provide you a source. It's not just a nice thing to do. It's not just the well-learned people do it. Even if you're a Talmid Yeshiva, 13, 14 years old, and you want to give your family a Dvar Torah on Shabbat for 5 minutes, you have to tell them, where did you get this story? Where did you get, whatever you're saying, where did you get it from? You can't say, oh, I thought about it myself. You're a liar. No one thinks about anything by themselves. You heard this somewhere. You read it in a book. Your rabbi told you. You heard it somewhere. If it's came by yourself, that means you're either a liar or you're a angel. Either way, we don't believe you. Why? Because when you steal sources, meaning you're saying that you know something, that you got it and it's from nowhere, that means either you're a thief or a liar. Because it's the Mishnah in Masechet Avot says that when Esther told Achashverosh that his life is at risk because 2 of his servants want to kill him, she said it in the name of Mordechai, because Mordechai is the one that told her. And the Mishnah says, from there we learn that anyone that says what they know in the name of where they heard it, they're bringing salvation to the world. And anyone that says things that they heard from somewhere, they read somewhere, but they don't mention the source, they're actually delaying the salvation. They're delaying Mashiach. So there's a significant importance to actually bring sources. Now again, you don't necessarily need to know the entire Torah and everything by heart to be able to lead a congregation or be a rabbi. You just need to know that you have to be honest. Meaning, you may know the answer, but you don't remember the source. But you tell them, listen, this is where I heard. I don't remember the source, or if you need the source, I'll go find out for you. You know how to get it. You know how to get the source. Or if you don't know the source, say, listen, this is what I know, but I don't remember the source. Fine. But generally speaking, the more you speak, the more you teach, the more you're going to remember these sources, the more people are going to ask you questions. So if the rabbi that you're listening to doesn't bring you any sources, he doesn't tell you where he heard this story or where he read this halacha, and he just simply talks and talks and talks, and he just simply tells you what to do, but he doesn't tell you who told him what to do. And how does he know what he's saying is true? That's a very big problem. Why? Because more times than not, if you're going to double check what he's saying to you, you're going to start seeing mistakes. Now still, again, that doesn't necessarily mean he's 100% Erev Rav. That just means he's a problematic rabbi, that he shouldn't be a rabbi. But to know for sure that he's an Erev Rav is if he has terrible Middot. If he has bad Middot where he looks at women that are not his wife, he's an immodest person, he publicizes pictures of women that are not modest, he's into that stuff, then obviously he's not good. If he does things that are not kosher, like he gambles, or he goes to inappropriate places, he has a potty mouth where he says things that are forbidden, certainly he's a very serious problem. Another way is if he simply contradicts the Torah. If he says things that the Torah doesn't say, where he says things that are considered heretical, where he says God needs you, or he says that there's no punishment, that God loves you no matter what, these things are hereticals, which means that you need to learn in order to know what he's saying is right or wrong. You need to know enough. But usually, every Jewish neshama has, sort of like a radar where they know if somebody is lying to them or not. They know that if somebody is saying to them is true or not. So usually if something doesn't sound good to you, then it's good for you to double check. You could either double check by asking that rabbi to give you a source for what they said, tell you what's the name of the book that he read this in, and if you could see it, if you could, tell the name of the book and the page number, and you could go open the book yourself and see that what he said is the same thing that says in the book. Or you could ask another rabbi that is a Torah scholar, that's Talmid Chacham, and tell him, listen, Rabbi such and such told me this. Is he right? If the other rabbi says, no problem, it's right because it's in, he gives you the source, then good. But if he says, no, it's not right, I have a different opinion, then you have to go back, take what the second rabbi said, say, listen, I told the other rabbi what you said, and he has a source that says the opposite. You said God needs you. He says there's a million places in the Torah it says God doesn't need you. So can you give me a source that shows that what you're saying is right, that God needs you? Which book says God needs you? Oh, it's a Mickey Mouse book. Mickey Mouse is not Torah. Mickey Mouse is not Torah. Pokemon is not Torah. Chassidut is an ocean. Where Chassidut? Chassidut has a lot of books. I have many books of Chassidut in the house. Tell me which one, I'll open it. Oh, it's not in there. It's Chassidut in your imagination? Oh, okay, so you're Erev Rav. So again, it's important for a person to know that if a person says things that are against the Torah, he's 100% Erev Rav. Unless, once he finds out that he said things that are wrong, he apologizes and he corrects himself, then he's just simply a regular person who made a mistake. If you show him that he made a mistake, and he says, oh, you're right, I made a mistake, I'll correct myself, okay, he's not Erev Rav, he's a good guy. But if he says, no, you just don't understand. You just don't understand, then he's more in line with the idol worshippers than he is with Judaism. So, the Erev Rav are people that change the Torah. They change the Torah in order to make people like them. They change the Torah in order to get people to give them all types of honor. They change the Torah in order to be popular. They change the Torah in order to make it more sellable. And those people are... So, you have people that are connected to things that are not modest. Certainly, they are very problematic people, and almost 100% of the time, they're Erev Rav. People that are saying things against the Torah, if they're not going to correct themselves, they're Erev Rav. The third thing is, people that connect with idol worshippers and don't see a problem with it. Meaning, they're inviting the other idol worshippers, Christian missionaries, to synagogues, or they are, they're doing things together with those other people that are, in so many words, enemies of God and enemies of the Jewish people, and they don't see a problem with it. 100% Erev Rav. Why? Because if you truly love your Father in heaven, if you truly love His children, Am Yisrael, why would you want to be friends? Why would you want to be partners? Why would you want to be associated with someone that's an enemy of God and is trying to bring his people to idol worship? Why? I mean, any normal Jew, any normal person, even if he's a non-Jew, that loves Hashem, when they hear that somebody's an idol worshiper and is trying to bring Jewish people and different people to idol worship, immediately they get upset. So, if you're friends with those people, and you're inviting them to your house and your shul and everything else, for sure you're an Erev Rav. As Shlomo HaMelech says in Proverbs, Ish lefi ma'alalo. A person is judged based on who he praises. If he praises the big rabbis, the tzaddikim, that's a good sign. If he praises the Pope, the chief idol worshiper, if he praises the Yeshu Imach Shimo V'Zichro, then obviously that's who he is. He's also a Yeshu. He's a little Yeshu. So the people need to know that there are people that are Erev Rav, But you're only going to know if the Erev Rav if you're going to go through this checklist. There's also a shiur that we made several years ago, probably 5-6 years ago. It was actually 2 shiurim in a row where it says, who are the Erev Rav? It was part of the Pirkei Avot series. Who are the Erev Rav? In there, we go over the Zohar Kadosh that talks about who the Erev Rav are, what are they, how do they act, what do they believe in, and there are more details over there. And generally speaking, it's going to be like the things I mentioned to you now, but there's going to be obviously more details over there. Erev Rav are more concerned with getting rich. They're more concerned with being popular. They're more concerned with being liked. They're not concerned about the Torah. They don't care about the Torah. They use the Torah as an axe in order to succeed, in order to make money, in order to be popular. They don't use the Torah in order to help people. They don't care at all about helping people. They care about helping themselves. So that's in essence the Erev Rav.